With just over 2 weeks before it premieres on Spike TV's Slammin' Saturday Night block, TNA moved the NWA World Heavyweight title from Raven back to Jeff Jarrett.
Fuck off.
How you feeling about that?
Fuck off.
You don't want to see Double J's champ?
Why? Like, why are we doing this? If only there was some sort of news story that would tell us.
Jarrett, minority owner and co-founder of TNA, was expected all along to end up getting the belt back in time for the Spike TV debut, as he believes, and enough members of management agree, that he's the most recognizable and credible name available who can work reliably full-time for the company.
Is he more recognizable?
We've argued this and discussed this, and I think at best he is the same.
Yeah, I think Raven might have more.
Raven was a bigger star in WCW. He didn't reach the level of world champion. But when Raven was like at his peak, more people watched WCW. And I think he was more over in WCW than Jarrett ever was.
Also more recent WWE run.
Yeah, and he had a more recent WWE run, though I think you could, to be fair, say that Jarrett was a more relevant wrestler in WWE. I think that's not even close.
But that was also like a decade before.
That was longer ago, yeah, and even then he still never rose above mid-card in WWE. So it's not the case, like, he was world champion in WCW, but Raven was probably a bigger, more relevant star during a period when more people watched. Raven was in WWF more recently, but Jarrett was a bigger star in WWF, but still not a big enough star in WWF that you would be like,
that it really matters.
Yeah, he's marginally better, but not meaningfully so. And then Raven also has like underground ECW cred that Jeff Jarrett doesn't have.
Yeah.
So I would say at best they're the same.
And it's like the other contenders are like Rhino, who's probably like the same as those two, but like lesser, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like same sort of atmosphere, but at a lower level. And Jeff, but then you have to look at that reliable part of the reliably work full time. In
a world where Jeff Hardy is completely clear-headed and entirely firing all cylinders, it's Jeff, like every day of the week. But we've seen over the last year nowhere near where Jeff Hardy is. So yeah, I don't buy it. I get why they keep going back to the well, but I don't buy it. It should just be Raven or anybody else. Or we'll talk about, they should have just done the title change on the first episode.
Or just what it bound for.
Yeah, do it literally any time. And like there's an argument that like, oh, this creates buzz heading into the first episode, which I call bullshit. I think a world title change on your first episode is a bigger deal. You can plug a title match, Jarrett Raven, the rematch of the biggest match in company history. They have not touched each other in the they've done some tags and multi-mans, but they have not gone one-on-one since that April 03 match. It's been over 2 years and you haven't gone back to it.
Raven Jarrett 2.
Yeah, you could have done Raven Jarrett 2 as the main event on Spike. I don't get it. It's stupid.
Very silly.
If you're wondering, well, where the hell, you talked about Unbreakable, and now you're talking about the Spike debut, where the hell did this title change take place is a good question. The title change took place Thursday night, September 15th on a Border City wrestling event in wonderful Windsor, Ontario, Canada, promoted by TNA head booker Scott D'Amore. There is speculation about why the belt changed hands outside of TNA's pay-per-view or TV events. One theory floating among TNA wrestlers is that Jarrett is despised by the fans in Orlando who attend the TNA events regularly, and the anti-Jarrett chants might have gotten out of hand. Which to me, again, that's a good thing. He's a heel.
I guess the idea is that, like, they want... It's not so much the, like, get booed by these fans thing. It's the, like, how smarky and insidery are they going to be with what they say as we are projected to a new audience for the first time.
Which that might be fair, given toward the start of this year, they were actively, like, chanting, drop the title at him.
Yeah, so like that's what I assume they mean by that, not like just heat.
Or fans might have made a scene, such as standing up or turning their backs, or something equally distracting. And then my other point about that is like, if you are so concerned that your audience hates this decision so much, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
These people, I will never get this. Well, I will.
Well, it's just that Jarrett is a charismatic individual, and when he's in a room with people booking stuff, he can convince people that he's the right decision. Even when he's not, and he's often not.
And for a long time, he hasn't been. And he hasn't not been champion long enough that I'm like somewhat okay with going back to him. Like, if it's been 2 years, I'd be like, you know what, alright, it's been 2 years, but it's been 4 months.
And also, the Raven run has been fine, but it hasn't been, like, world-changing.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the last episode when you dropped him for your new favorite toy, Rhino. That Raven, like, basically, he just became a nerd who got beaten up and was, like, even upstaged by Jarrett on every... Like, Jarrett was like, I'm going to be champion on Spike. And then he is. So it's just like, Raven was overshadowed, and then he got beat up by Abyss and Rhino for the entire summer.
I also feel like he never really did anything.
And he never talked. He never did promos.
Yeah, he never cut promos. It was like they knew what to do with Raven up until he won the title, and then once he had it, they were like, we have no fucking clue what to do with this guy.
There's also a theory that it could have been a favor to D'Amore, but I don't think you'd book a world title change like that just as a favor to D'Amore to pop a local Windsor number.
Maybe the idea of, like, we're gonna do it on this. But then, you know what? There's one thing that goes against that, is that, like, they barely promoted where this happened.
Yeah, it wasn't like, you know, they put a shining light on Windsor, Ontario.
Or like, BCW. Like, they mentioned it, but it's not like they were like, at this giant, like, BCW show, I think there is a certain segment of fans that saw this and probably thought this was a TNA house show.
Which I was actually in Windsor for the first time between episodes.
For a TNA house show.
Yeah, it's actually Slammiversary. You might have heard of it. I should have went on pilgrimage to the site of the controversy in Canada. Like, this ended up getting a name.
That would have been a great bit.
Just be showing up. I can't remember the name of the building. I looked it up, but it's because this match is online. I think so you can see highlights of the show online, but.
You and Scott D'Amore go to the controversy in Canada arena.
We'll pay a visit. Talk about how they popped the house, baby.
That would have been a good bit.
The plan within TNA for weeks was for Jarrett to regain the title at the BCW event. The feeling within TNA is that nobody else is qualified to hold the top belt at such an important time in company history. But in a PW Torch poll with well over 1,000 votes, and obviously this is a very skewed audience if you're a Torch subscriber or a Torch website visitor.
Yeah, the big fucking Mark idiot like us.
78% indicated it was a bad move to give Jarrett the belt, 10% said good, and 12% said it doesn't matter given the X Division will carry the company anyway.
Damn, that's like the actual smart listeners.
Yeah, it's like AJ's the one that really matters here, so who actually gives a shit?
Damn. Can't believe that's a way better response. The minority said no, that they were against the move, Jarrett, as champion.
And like, no, I'm not going to defend Jeff.
You gonna try and spin it?
I was going to do my usual, like, Jeff is a good performer, but I'm like, fuck it, nope.
Yeah, he's a good goof.
And I'm going to go back to one of my other talking points, the Jeff Jarrett Defense Squad these days.
Here we go.
You didn't live through this. The people who were like, actually, Jeff Jarrett is always good. It's like, you didn't live through this. You didn't have to suffer this dude constantly making himself champion over and over again.
It's like, imagine the Triple H reign of terror, but multiple time, and it's with Jeff Jarrett.
At least, you know what, we will. I will actually defend him a little bit because this is the month where he does become a goof. So.
Oh yeah, like I think like that's what's gonna be like somewhat of the saving grace is him like as world champion, but with the idea that he's like not to be taken seriously. Because the worst is when it's Jeff Jarrett world champion who's trying to be serious.
Yeah, Stone Cold Jeff Jarrett, but also world champion.
Who's trying to like represent the legacy of the belt in how he acts. Like, that's dumb. Just be a big idiot.
Yeah, he's trying to do what like Nick Aldis did, I think, a lot better over the last like 5 years, as like a guy who is the world champion. You know, I act, I look, I talk, I dress, and I wrestle.
That was him in the Asylum era, for sure.
He was trying to be that, and I think Nick Aldis did a great job of that, particularly in like the early days of the NWA relaunch. And Jeff Jarrett was just never that.
No. And so, like, the idea of him being a slimy little man who's trying to protect his very fragile reign at the top. I wonder where that comes from. Like that being his character instead of a serious pro wrestling champion man is way more appealing.
The idea of changing the title on that show was actually planned close to 2 months ago. It was one of those deals where everyone was shocked. TNA management was shocked that somehow the story never got out, although Raven himself wasn't told about the title change until 2 days beforehand. I
wonder how how that story didn't get out then.
The 400 fans in Windsor were so shocked that even seeing Jarrett win and being announced as champion, even with Mike Tenay there, because they brought in TNA to do like some commentary and some stuff, and JB was obviously filming it, I believe, that most were leaving the building thinking it would be an overturned screw job and didn't believe they'd actually seen a title change, because it is the classic like do a dusty finish, overturn it on a house show, right?
I love that Dave. That's such a Daveism to be like, to equate the thoughts of the two people that sent him in their results to everyone in the building thought this. Like, there was one guy who sent Dave results from the show, and he said that, oh man, I think that they might just reverse it. And Dave then equates that to, there were all these fans leaving who just didn't believe it.
One man can speak for 400.
It's just funny to me.
How do you know that dude didn't go around the entire building in Windsor and take a poll? It's actually where the PW Torch poll came from, that one dude in Windsor. Being like, how do you feel about this? How's it going? Did you think it would be overturned?
It was killer.
Oh, working for the Observer.
Sending it into Dave.
Yeah. And please credit PW Torch.
Dave's like, I don't do that.
Just give credit. Dave reiterates that they were worried about the reaction the title change might get on Spike, and they didn't want to do a cheesy title change. Realistically, it does seem like the reaction they felt it would get was the biggest worry they had. The Jarrett title win was a lot more controversial internally than people are letting on. Only a few in the company knew, and those who didn't, who saw the general reaction of outrage to the decision, were in some cases up in arms about it. The game to watch is which ends up quicker, the outrage forcing a title switch, unless ratings are good and pay-per-views go up, in which case there will be no outrage, or telling the adequate story with whomever they're grooming, which should also become pretty clear pretty quickly. And turns out to be nobody?
Yeah.
Well, it turns out to be Christian, but at the moment, it turns out to be nobody.
It's Christian.
You would wonder, like, what would they have done had they have not gotten Christian? Because they don't come on Spike. Maybe it's Monty. Maybe they do finally run with Monty if Christian doesn't come.
It's just like Rhino or Kevin Nash or fucking X-Pac coming. You don't give them fucking credit. They don't deserve credit.
And I was gonna undercut myself even and be like, it would have just been Sting then.
Yeah, it's gonna be whoever the guy that they sign who's gonna come in for 4 months before burning the bridge.
They're not grooming anybody. It's not like, let's get Cassidy Riley over the course of 3 years to that level.
Yeah, exactly. Their plan is someone that they've already gone to that level. Like, their plan is to continue to groom AJ for the next 5 years.
They can just pull the trigger on AJ, but on TV this time.
And every time they do it, they're just gonna be like, wow, AJ's finally made it to the top, and we're not gonna talk about the other 5 times he's made it to the top. And we're just gonna keep running that over in fucking circles, because that's all they do. All they do is build to a big AJ title win, where then it's like, wow, he finally did it, and then he loses it 2 months later, and then we start it all over again.
This company, over the course of October, does go back to TNA default position of NWA champion Jeff Jarrett, Tag Team Champions America's Most Wanted, and X Division champion AJ Styles.
Yeah, it's fucking annoying.
It is funny how there is a gravitational force, and it's not just those guys, it's those guys at once. Every time they hit a reset position, it's back to Jarrett Styles AMW.
And then the story is that AJ goes on a big X Division title run, but then loses it, and then slowly starts to work his way back up to the world title again, then he wins it. They've done it twice now.
Well, you won't get AJ near the world title for another 4 years.
Fucking good.
Which is kind of wild to think about, that if you were to say to somebody at this stage of TNA, AJ's not going to get meaningfully near that title for another 4 years. Everyone would be like, what? Excuse me?
He's gonna be comedy goof for a while.
Yeah, have a couple tag team runs. One of which is very good, to be fair. The other which was actually pretty good too. So you know what? They were right.
Tom.
Even the booking team, which was strong on it being the right move since they came into power, maybe second guessing since Scott D'Amore was badly heckled at the hard homecoming shows by some fans, specifically for making Jarrett champion.
Rolls.
We'll talk about how it happened in a moment when we run down the actual first Spike show, because that's where they explain the angle. But yeah, Jarrett's your new NWA champion heading into the first episode on Spike.
The crowd went mild.
Don't you? I'm so upset at you.
Why?
That's the one comment people leave in every social media post, to the extent I'm furious. Even when crowds make noise, they leave it there. I'm like, the crowd just made noise. What are you doing? And then someone I love mocking Tito Ortiz on August 1. It's my favorite thing. But then 2 people left in the crowd go mild comments. I'm like, fuck off. Come up with an original thought, you cunts.
Sorry.
I'm deeply triggered. I've been giving out to somebody about this week. This week. So it's very much on my mind about these annoying people. You are one of them. You're part of the problem.
Crowd goes, wow.